JoJo, Travis, the social media master. You can tune in to the show on Facebook, on Twitter. We want your interaction, your feedback, your comments. Travis, how can people get a hold of us?
Yeah, for those of you watching live on Twitter and Facebook, please leave your comments and questions. We're going to feature them later in the show and throw to some of the best things you guys have been tossing out there on social media, so you can watch on either of those two platforms, and we're going to be featuring them throughout the entire show.
Awesome.
Guys, before we start, this studio is pretty cool. Look at all the lights. We got a nice little desk. It's very big. We got our own little, like, I don't feel like squished.
No, we have plenty of room.
We got a nice little monitor in the back.
We are just a couple days after 5 days in Des Moines. How you feeling, JoJo?
Good to be back. Not so used to the 100-degree weather yet. It was kind of nice to be in these rainy climates the past few weeks, Eugene and then Des Moines. But yeah, excited to get back to it in Austin. So
first thing first, we're going to recap USA's, highlight some stuff there. We'll also look ahead to the Paris Diamond League meet that's happening this weekend. And as Travis mentioned, we'll get your questions, your comments. We'll pull some stuff from social media, and we'll have a great old time here as well. But going back to that meet in Des Moines, I wanted to start first with big takeaways from the meet. I'll lead off here with my one big takeaway. There were many that you could choose from. Mine, though, is Noah Lyles, 9.88 in that 100 meters. We were worried going in, oh, he's not going to run the 200. We're going to see less of a spectacular performance than we could get in the 200. But, I mean, exceeded expectations in the 100, ties the world lead. He now has the world lead in the 100 and the 200. Was extremely excited, thinks he can go 9.4 this summer. So very excited.
19.4.
19.4, not 9.4. We're not breaking that.
You heard it here first. Kevin thinks Noah Lyles can go 9.4.
The fact checkers are here, but that was my big takeaway. Was Lyles.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. His PRs now are, someone said, like, both dramatically faster than what, dare I say it, Usain Bolt was by the age of 20. So Lyles.
Are you saying Noah Lyles is the next Usain Bolt?
I'm not saying that, but maybe I would like to say it, but I've been saying that way too many times, been proven wrong way too many times, so I'll hold off.
For sure. Travis, your big takeaway?
Yeah, mine's actually Georgianne Moline. We have a clip here that we're going to play from her in the mix zone in USA's after that 400 hurdle race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I share your feelings, to be honest.
I've tried to win like national titles since college, you know?
Did I bring you to tears?
No, you're fine. It's just, it kind of happened earlier too, but I just really I know I'm ready to run really, really fast. And so, that's why we have a race, because, sometimes it goes in your favor and sometimes it doesn't. And that's why you hold the race, So I'm not disappointed. I really tried. I always give it my best effort, and sometimes it's not enough. But it happens.
And the reason why I like that so much, I mean, I wasn't in the mix zone certainly as much as some of you guys were of the weekend, but you do get a lot of robotic interviews from a lot of athletes, kind of hitting those same buzzwords, trust the process. We should
Gordon's favorite word.
How many times we heard trust the process, but I mean, she, in that race, those of you who didn't watch it, was right there neck and neck with Shamir Little, and her ankle gave out when she came over that final hurdle and ended up finishing second. And just the genuine emotion kind of after that race, you can see her kind of processing it in real time in that interview and just talking about, how much time and the commitment, she's made to get to this point, and to have that happen, it just crushes you as an athlete. And I think so many times we just hear it's just on to the next race, or no, it doesn't affect me. It's like, well, of course it does. Like, this is your entire life is geared around this moment. And I mean, that was one of my highlights, just because you saw, true emotion from an athlete. I think that's what everyone is looking for, not just us selfishly as media from having to do 100 interviews, but even as fans. I think humanizing athletes, I mean, that's how anyone would react, in that situation. So seeing her, open up, not being afraid to kind of share those emotions with the public was definitely one of the highlights of the meet.
That 400 hurdle race also featured Ashley Spencer crashing out after hurdle 3, and she was tearful in the mix zone as well. So even though non-championship year, dead year, the emotions are still super duper high. JoJo, your takeaway?
I mean, I think as much as Noah Lyles was the revelation of the meet on the men's side, Shelby Houlihan was definitely the women's athlete of the weekend. To come away with 2 titles in the 1500 and the 5K, first woman to do that. since Regina Jacobs did it in 2000, who,
We don't count those.
you know, yeah, it sort of has a little bit of a tainted legacy. I mean, we saw her win 2 titles at the indoor championships, but those fields are a little watered down compared to outdoors. Outdoors, she just raced Jenny Simpson, and if you can beat Jenny Simpson in a 1500, you have the potential to win a global medal. So, you know, Shelby has been good for a year. She won the 5K last year, but for her to come in, win both events, take down Jenny, I think she has potential to really do some damage on the international level maybe this summer.
I'm struggling to find words to describe Shelby Houlihan's kick still. So on a
Yeah.
post I just wrote,
rewatch that 5K,
the
final
5K
100.
So the way I described the 5K was like she was at 6 times speed and everybody else was at 2 times speed. Like that's the best I could, because it just looked like she was.
I mean, apparently it was like a 13.2 seconds for that final 100,
And it just, like,
which
kept
is like
going
what
faster.
a lot of high school sprinters run 100 in, right?
Before we close out this segment, got to go to Gordon here with his big takeaway.
My big takeaway from the USA's is athletes do not care about your feelings.
Whose feelings?
Fans' feelings.
Okay.
Because they choose not to run at this meet because it's not a world championship year. Obviously, there was no Christian Coleman, no Justin Gatlin. Sidney McLaughlin was a late scratch. Michael Norman didn't want to sit in a rain delay, so he decided to scratch the final in the 200. Noah Lyles didn't run in the 200. I could go on and on. Allison Felix wasn't there. Eric Jenkins ran the 15 instead of the 5K. I could go on and on. I'm not mad at the athletes. They have every right to do it, and I respect their right to do it, and they probably should do it because they come first. But off-year championships, baby, nothing happens. We just get to see a 200-meter final without Justin Gatlin, Eli Hall, Christian Coleman, Trayvon Bromell, Michael Norman,
You're running out of
LaShawn
fingers.
Merritt. I mean, you could argue that maybe only Amir Webb, who was the U.S. champion in 200, would make the final next year. You could argue that.
Yeah,
There's injuries at play there too. I
Yes,
don't think
injuries.
It's all like
Injuries do play in it, but also, you know, mental injuries of there's no reason to run it.
Sure. I mean, it's tough enough when you remove the big incentive, right? There's
Yeah.
enough reasons why you shouldn't run the meet, and then you remove the incentive of, oh yeah, you can qualify for a world team, and then you throw in a weather delay on top of that. It's just like inviting people to drop out. I mean, credit the people who came back. We don't have to wait long to see Norman.
No, we don't.
So that's why I'm excited.
Which is great.
More on that later. Let's jump topics now to the event. This kind of goes with what Gordon was saying. The event that still has a ton of unanswered questions after USA's, or maybe an event that after USA's you have more questions than you had going in. There's a lot to choose from here. I'll lead off. I'll talk about the women's 400 because we saw a breakthrough performance from Shakima Wimbley in that race, ran 49.52, which is a big personal best, never been under 50 seconds. And you add that into the mix of things that are going on right now in the women's 400 with Lena Irby almost breaking the collegiate record, with Kendall Ellis still, getting better and better with every race, with the questions around Allison Felix, with the questions of what race Sidney McLaughlin will do, not to mention Courtney Okolo, Jessica Beard, Phyllis Francis, the reigning world champion. I'm more confused than ever. We did the pod afterwards, and we were trying to figure out who the top 5 American women are in the 400. And it's like you could come up with a million or top 3. You could come up with a million combinations. The happiest woman in America in that race is Phyllis Francis because she's got the bye, so she doesn't need to. She does not need to worry about it. So women's 400 was mine. Travis, we'll go to you next. What's your event?
I'm sticking with the same event in the men's 4. Even at this meet, kind of like Gordon just mentioned, some athletes even entered the meet. Gail Roberts didn't even show up. And so outside of that, certainly Michael Norman missing after his 43.6 is a big asterisk. And some of the other guys who didn't show up or weren't entered to begin with. That men's 400 is pretty wide open at this point, and we saw it kind of running through the rounds as well, that the field that was there was pretty evenly matched. Even that final, there's a nice battle at the end there. Mm-hmm. And even though Kamari Montgomery won, I don't think he necessarily proved that he is by far the best 400 athlete in that field. He was the best on that day, but he was, Dadeo was still right there, and Cherry and everyone else. It was still a lot of talented guys. So I still don't think anyone would necessarily consider him a favorite, especially the guys who are missing. So right now, that men's 400, we see all the young collegiates rising up, running 44s and 43s, and now they're right up there with the best professional athletes in the 400. And then this USA's, we didn't really have any major takeaways out of the men's 4. And so as we look ahead to the next year, and then especially with Norman running down the 2 and what actually is going to happen here, I have no idea who's going to come out on top in a year's time, the men's 4, because it could be any of probably the 8 to 10 guys.
Absolutely. JoJo?
I mean, we just watched that great clip of Georgianne Moline, and I mean, honestly, this is probably her only shot at winning a U.S. title, you know, for the rest of her career, honestly, because the 3 best women in the field were not there. And all of them are fairly young to where they're going to be around for the next couple of cycles. Sydney McLaughlin has run a second faster than the Shamir Little's winning time. You know, Dalilah Muhammad wasn't there, reigning Olympic champion. Corey Carter was there, running the shorter hurdles, but she's, of course, the reigning world champion. So it would have been really fun to see those 3 women mixed it up with Moline and Little, and so we could really get a sense of who's the top 400 hurdler in the U.S. right now. But we didn't, and I feel like we don't really know. I mean, Sydney obviously has the best time,
Sure.
but it's different than running it on the day against the world champ and the Olympic champ. You know, that changes things up. So I still want to see that race.
And just like the women's 400 hurdles has a bye as well, Corey Carter. Along with
Right.
Phyllis Francis. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about USA's next year.
Sticking
Matt.
with the sprinting theme, I'm going with the men's 100 because I list so many guys who are worthy of not just being top 3, but worthy of potentially winning.
Right.
You start with Christian Coleman. I mean, he's a world indoor record holder. He's just hurt. So Ronnie Baker almost won this race. He's just got second in the world in the 60. I know there's no indoor Olympics, but you know, Ronnie Baker has proven that he's won Diamond League hundreds, so he can do it.
Yeah.
Mike Rogers just ran a world lead. I'm at 3 guys already. Justin Gatlin, who has a bye. He's in, but that's another guy in there. Oh, let's talk about Cameron Burrell, who just is his first. Will go into next year as his first year as a full pro. Won't have a long collegiate season. He's under Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis, he's great, so he's going to make him fast. Eli Hall, he's great. He's going to be really good. Forgot about him. Oh, Noah Lyles, who won the 100, might not even do it. That's 7. And you keep on going. Oh, yeah, guess what? Remember Trayvon Bromell? Yeah, we haven't seen him run, but when he was on the track, he was doing Christian Coleman-like things. He was phenomenal. That's 8 guys. Only 3 get to go. What's going to happen? I don't know.
Do you have an early lean on what now Lyles decides to do next year? 100, 200, both?
I think he does both. No, wait, the 100's first, right?
Yep. 100's always first.
I don't know what he's going to do.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll come back to
I'm
you.
predicting that he
People
doesn't.
on Facebook and Twitter, what does Noah Lyles do next year?
I'm predicting-
100, 200, both?
200.
200 for
Say
sure.
200.
200
Yeah.
for sure. But does he do the 100, I guess is the better question there.
If the 200 was first, he would do the 100
Oh, for sure.
after, but
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe he does the 100, and then if he makes a team, he's like, oh, I'm done. I only want to do the 100 now. I don't know.
I bet he just focuses on the 2 next year, and then maybe the Olympics tries to go for
Goes
There
for
you go.
both. That's a good
Double.
pick. Also, when we were in Des Moines, there was a flood of professional signings. Actually started just after NCAA ended, and it continued all the way through in Des Moines. We saw people racing in college kits in the semis and then coming back in the final and wearing a sponsor. So we wanted to ask, what's the most surprising professional signing? We have a long list on the site, which JoJo's been diligently adding to as she
Yeah.
goes. So email her if you want to add your name to that list. I'll start off. Josh Kerr signing with the Brooks Beast, a bit of a surprise to me, and that's the biggest signing that they've got right out of college. Of course, they signed Nick Simmons when he was well into his career already. So Kerr going there as the 3-time NCAA champion, as somebody that has still a huge upside, I believe, as well, is just a tremendous asset for Brooks. And the other kind of strange or interesting thing about it is he's going to stay in New Mexico because he wants to finish
Right,
his
for 2 years.
for 2 years. So he's beyond the
So-
team. And any of you who know Danny Mackey or have heard a Danny Mackey talk interview, he's all about team, preaching team, being together. So a little surprising that he'd be there for 2 years before he joins the Beasts in Seattle, but a big move for them.
Albuquerque is their altitude destination
Oh, good
spot,
point, good point.
so they will be going there often during altitude training.
Yeah, just interesting in terms of how it all matched up. So that Josh Kerr to Brooks was my most surprising one. Travis?
Mine would actually be Vanessa Frazier. Because that race, like some of these athletes too, it's like, all right, they sign with an agent and then they, go pro, the shoe sponsor. Frazier was totally off my radar at this point. We had some other athletes come up, but I was literally sitting on the side of the track starting to take pictures of the 5K, and I see Shelby run by and someone else in a Bowerman kit, and I was like, I wonder, I don't know who that was. I'll catch them and they come around the next lap and took a picture because they're still going kind of fast. Looked at it and I was like, I think that's Vanessa Frazier in a Bowerman kit. And so that was most surprising because it looked literally in the race. because I didn't see him at the starting line. To see her running the Bowerman kit was the one. I just didn't see that coming at all either, even if she had announced it previously. But Vanessa Frazier certainly takes it, and she had a good race too.
Go ahead.
I was sitting in the stands in the press box doing the updates. I was like, wait, Vanessa's wearing a Bowerman jersey. And I was like, no, wait, it's definitely a Stanford jersey. No.
Right.
If before the weekend started, someone said a collegiate athlete is going to run the 5,000 in Des Moines and they're going to be wearing a Bowerman kit, you would have said that athlete is
Schweizer.
Vanessa Frazier.
Total curveball there. I agree. Let's go to JoJo.
My most surprising signing, I think Josh Kerr was probably the most surprising. But I actually thought there'd be more athletes showing up in pro kits for the final day of competition. We saw, maybe it's just compared to the past 2 years where, it's the dynamic of going pro is a little bit differently when there's an Olympic or world team on the line. So, maybe you sign with your sponsor, then you make the team, and different financial incentives there. This year, there's not a world team, so, it seems like some of the athletes showed up to the final wearing their kits. Aaliyah Hobbs, Mekhi Briscoe still wearing their LSU gear. Schweizer still in her Missouri gear. Nikki Hiltz was still wearing her Arkansas gear, although she announced after the race that she's going with Adidas. So it seems like the dynamic was a little bit different this year, and that surprised me. I thought we'd see more. I thought we'd have to put the binoculars on during more of the meeting to see who's that? Yeah. Okay.
Michael Norman as well, too.
No, yeah, of course. Michael Norman. Sydney didn't even race, but it doesn't sound like she has signed with anybody yet, whereas before I figured we'd see her in the final with the jersey.
Norman did mention, though, he's going to stay at USC, finish his degree, still be coached by Quincy Watts. Not a huge surprise there that he would stay in USC and stay with somebody who's got him the collegiate record. Gordon.
Isaiah Harris, mainly because he's not a senior. So he went pro early. Is he the only outside of Josh Kerr? I think he's one of the main collegiates to go pro early. And to go pro early in an off year, because I think Josh Kerr going pro this year makes sense because, there's European championships. Sure. International-wise, there's a lot of stuff to go for. But for Harris to go pro in an off year, we asked him, is it because you won your title? Because, would he have came back if he had one more year to get an NCAA title? He said, no, I don't think that was why. I'm sure the money was why, but...
Yeah, well, doesn't the money follow the winning?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Isaiah Harris going to Nike.
And staying in State College.
And staying in State College.
Another athlete going pro early, actually, that I thought was surprising, wasn't at US Champs, was Kate Hall from Georgia, the jumper. Yep. She's won, I believe, 2 NCAA titles now, indoors and out, in the long jump. She announced that just a couple days ago that she's leaving a year early to try and get ready for World Champs, which is interesting, right? Because the World Championships are like a month and a half later than they usually are. Yeah. So she wants to, not have to do that indoor season, not have to compete a lot of early season outdoor meets to prolong her peak.
Have you updated your team score spreadsheet to reflect this Kate Hall news?
No.
Quickly.
Georgia. It hurts Georgia. It does hurt Georgia. Hurts 10 points from Georgia. So.
And Oregon, too.
And Oregon, 18 points.
A lot changing there.
A lot changing. It's all going up in my head.
Next segment, what we're going to do, we had so many great photos from Des Moines, some taken by the esteemed Kirby Lee, some taken by our own Travis Miller.
I'm coming for you, Kirby.
Watch yourself. Who was out there on the track.
How many people watching know who Kirby Lee is?
Everybody does. If you've seen a track photograph, if you've seen a track photograph, it's probably Kirby Lee. He's a force in the photography world, but we have 5 photos. We're going to do one at a time, and we're going to put them up on the board, and we'll just speculate what this person or people were thinking in the shot. I think the first one coming up is going to be Noah Lyles here. This one taken by our own Travis Miller. Gordon, you want to break this down?
I don't know what he's doing. I know he's doing some Fortnite dance, I'm guessing.
It's called The Shoot.
The Shoot. I don't play Fortnite, but all these kids do it, so my thought is, watch this. Gordon doesn't know what I'm doing. That's what he's thinking. He's thinking Gordon has no idea what I'm doing.
And this was great because it was like a 90-second long drawn. Like
it wasn't just one move.
It was like 100 meters of dancing here as he ran past the finish, turned around, and then danced all the way back across the finish line. Just the excitement on his face too. Like that kid, it's love in life.
Hopefully, the NFL they don't pull an NFL and say, "Hey, no more celebration dances."
Did you check the socks on that one too? Can we bring that one up one more time?
Incredible socks.
Let's check the socks one more time if we can. on that one. There they are.
Oh, yeah,
Incredible
look at that.
socks. He's themed.
Big Incredibles fan, apparently.
How long was that interview? I mean, the interview on our site titled Noah Lyles Reviews The Incredibles is like 3.5 minutes long. He is very into it. Okay, photo number 2. What were they thinking in this photo? Photo number 2. There's multiple people in this photo, so you guys can take your pick about who's thinking what. We see Shelby Houlihan crossing line. We see Jenny Simpson in second and Kate Grace in third and some others.
It was interesting. Shelby was one of the least animated athletes, like crossing the line, not quite just exhibiting the kind of emotion and excitement that some of the other athletes did, but maybe it's because she just ran a 13.2 100 at the end of her race.
I mean, Jenny's definitely thinking an expletive right now. That's what that face.
This is a 57-second last 400 for Houlihan, and it's funny that her arms are up because she was basically flying the last 100 meters, and that's how she
I know what
ran.
Kate Grace is thinking. Hey, Shelby, you owe me dinner because I made this a race for you to win. So
Kate Grace leading out there.
I know. She made a huge kick with 300 to go. And Shelby's thinking, I'm Iowa.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about Iowa there.
Man, the 2 biggest crowds around people in the mix zone, well, 3. Simpson, Houlihan, and then Gwen Jorgensen, I think were the,
Gwen
the top
Jorgensen.
3.
And Eric Sawinski because he's Iowa as well.
Iowa as well, too. All right, photo number 3. That last one was Kirby, by the way. This is another one.
That's like a
From Travis.
ah!
What? Do that again?
Can we get that one more time,
Can we
please?
run that one back?
One time only.
That's the face of I just found a way onto the 2020 Olympic team, right? I mean, he's
I think
a
so.
favorite for the Olympic team now. I think you can honestly say.
he really did not want to commit to the 10K though. Afterward, he's like, oh no, I'm
he's
doing
running
I'm doing the 5K next year. 2020, I don't know. He is not married to the 10K,
This
at
was
least
a
publicly.
8-year drought, 10-year drought.
8.
Yeah.
2010 to now. You know who's not in the 10K? They might be in 2020, but they're not right now. Paul Chalimo, Eric Jenkins, not in the 10K. I'd run the 10K.
I run 10K too. But they might also do, I mean, Eric Jenkins did a 10K at the trials last
Sure.
time. So.
But that's, to me,
I
that
don't
was...
know. Jenkins might jump in that 1500.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, photo number 4. This one is going to get Gordon talking.
Oh.
First of all, explain the principles if people don't know who it is. Who is this?
On your left, Mr. Pat Henry, Texas A&M coach, and then Edric Floreal, the new Texas coach. So I'm sure they're thinking, Pat Henry's thinking, hey man, stay off my territory. And Edric's thinking, what are you talking about? And then smiling like, yeah, there's nothing to worry about, Pat. And Pat's like, shit.
Well, it is worth noting they're different conferences. So
Yes, that's good. But
SEC, Big 12.
Not too far away, though.
The recruits, though, that's going to
the
get
recruits, the Texas recruits.
I want to draw your attention to Pat Henry's right hand. What's he got on there?
Oh,
Ooh.
is that a ring?
You bring the rings out when you go to the meets. You bring the rings out. Like, hey, Edric, check this guy out there. I mean,
And Flo's he's dual wielding the cell phones too in that left hand.
Is that 2 phones?
He doesn't mess around.
He's got burner accounts. That's what it is.
that is recruiting 101 right there.
Yeah, I mean,
burner accounts.
Flo knows he's got to stay on top of everything.
I've never seen that gray Texas polo before either. It's a good look.
They got him geared up pretty fast.
Here's the question. What's Carl Lewis thinking, seeing these 2 Texas coaches being like, hey, they're in my, Carl Lewis said, hey, what about me?
We got to get a Photoshop. We got to get a modem to put Carl Lewis's face right in there.
Carl Lewis is taking the photo, being like, smile, guys. I'm coming for you.
All right, last photo here. That was Kirby. This last one's going to be Kirby too. Photo number 5. Another awesome celebration.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool here.
Was this after the final or the semifinal?
This was after the final, I believe. Yes, this must have been the final.
Yeah, the crowd sounds full. Is that Harper Nelson?
That is Dawn Harper Nelson, her last U.S. championship. She's been famous for the cartwheel, the post-race cartwheel, so it's only fitting that in her last U.S. champ she does one. You were down there, Travis. Pretty emotional. She was in the post-race interview with Kenny Harrison.
Right. And really every round, the first 2 rounds, I think she had a pretty good chance of advancing, but she was still finishing like 3rd or 4th every time, so it was a little tight. Every time she moved on to the next round, after she crossed the finish line, she was going crazy. So you could just tell that the whole weekend meant a lot. Like just advancing to each round, I think meant more to her than even some athletes who advanced like the first time in their career. I think for just what she's going through this weekend, every single time she touched the track was just like a special moment for her.
Form looked good on the cartwheel.
Yeah, I can't do a cartwheel.
I mean, I'm not a gymnastics person, but isn't it all about like symmetry and things like that? So those were our 5.
Yeah, that's all about
symmetry. I mean,
cartwheel symmetry.
Yeah, even. You need to
that's
make
fair
sure
enough.
one leg's not in front of the other. This weekend, as we mentioned, Saturday, Paris Diamond League. No rest for the weary. A lot of these Americans who we saw in Des Moines are hopping on a plane, have already hopped on a plane, and are in Paris to kick off their Diamond League season. So we wanted to go around and check in on what your favorite event will be this weekend, or if it isn't on the schedule, what event you'd like to see. I'll lead off with this men's 200, or as Travis calls it, the 200. I'm not cool enough or young enough to say that anymore.
Gotta get hip, man.
Men's 200, you don't have everybody in there, but you have two names that I'm very, very fascinated with. One being Michael Norman, because we don't need to wait long to see him. He's scratched out of the final. And then his USC teammate there, you see him on the screen, Rai Benjamin. He'll be representing Antigua because the citizenship, or the IAAF representation hasn't gone through. But he will be making his professional debut. That's Rai Benjamin. And a lot of people forget, in the craziness that is 47.02, Rai Benjamin was third indoors in the 200. Third indoors in the 200.
And had the fastest split on that world record 4x4.
Right. So that's going to be fascinating to watch just for those two guys. A lot of the same names that you see going around the circuit are also in that 200. So it's not like you're getting, DeGrasse, Coleman, and Lyles. But for those two alone, that's my pick.
Does Lyles lose his world lead?
No.
No.
Really?
No. He might at some point, but not in Paris.
Not in this race.
Lyles is going to lose his world lead to himself.
Yeah. That's a good bet. You're asking Norman, even, he left on Sunday, racing in 6 days, a long flight. Usually the first race off the plane is pretty tough. I'm not so sure the whole summer. I think we might have a different world leader by the end, but not this week. Travis, you're up next.
Yeah.
Paris
for those of you watching on Facebook and Twitter, keep the comments and questions coming in. We're going to pull up some of the best ones shortly, but we keep picking the same events and just different genders here. I'm going to go with the 200 as well, but going with the women because of what Jenna Prandini did this past weekend. She went 22.4, 22.6, 22.2, looking fairly relaxed and comfortable through all the rounds and running into some headwinds as well. And she's definitely back to the kind of form that we're used to seeing her in. And I'm really excited. It's not a super deep field that she's going up against. There are a couple other women who can push her in that 22 low range. But seeing the kind of form she had this weekend when she was also running the 100-meter rounds as well, I'm really excited now to see what Prandini can do, just focus in on the two, see if we can see her dip back under 22 seconds.
For sure. JoJo, you got a race you're watching?
Yeah, well, I'm going to pick a field event.
Ooh.
Actually.
That's fair.
The men's pole vault. It's the only field event I get really excited about. Mondo Duplantis has taken down Sam Kendricks and Lavillenie this year,
That's right.
and he's going to go against both of them in this pole vault. And I want to know, how many Diamond Leagues does Mondo have to win before he just decides to go pro and not do NCAA at all? I mean, if he wins the Diamond League final, is it worth bypassing the prize money?
I mean, the first bit of prize money you potentially get, I would have gone. But that's just
Yeah.
me. But yeah, it is crazy to think about how good he is globally. And the one person he hadn't beat, Kendricks, he beat.
Right.
Literally beating everybody
Yeah.
now at this point.
I
Lavillenie.
mean, Kendricks actually had one of the more interesting interviews, I felt like, of USA, so go check it out if you haven't. He talked a little bit about his undefeated season in 2017, and he called it the curse of the golden cuffs coming back in 2018. After that undefeated season and being the reigning world champion, and he's like, obviously I'm not the man I was last year. I haven't won everything, but I'm doing my best. So that was interesting to kind of, I mean, he's one of those people who comes in the mix zone and he's like the mayor of the pole vault. He has this monologue ready and tells you exactly what happened, but I felt like he did let a little emotion creep into that. So it'll be interesting to see how the European circuit goes for them.
The mayor of the pole vault is a really cool nickname. I don't know if you can.
I know, I think I stole that from someone.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard it before.
Call him the governor then. Gordon.
Here's something I want to see that we're not going to see this summer. I don't think if we're ever going to see it, because if I run down, this matchup is a matchup that viewers have been wanting to see for the past 2 years, and it never happens. Starting all the way back to indoors 2016 NCAAs, Clayton Murphy versus Donovan Brazier. Donovan Brazier is the young guy going against Murphy. Brazier DNFs in the prelims, so we never get to see that. Cut to outdoors 2016, Murphy decides to run the 1500s. You don't see it. Cut to the Olympic trials. Brazier doesn't make it through the rounds, so we don't see it. Cut to 2017, Murphy doesn't run in the 800-meter final because he tried to double, so then Brazier doesn't get to race him. Cut to indoors, Murphy doesn't make it to the final, indoor, and basically I'm keep on going. They've never raced each other in a championship final in 6 attempts.
Wow.
6 straight attempts when they could race in the championship final. They have not raced. And those are our 2 best 800-meter men, you could argue, in the U.S. with Donovan Brazier and Clayton Murphy. And our 2 different styles of running, and we never see it. And we're not going to see it because Brazier's hurt now. I mean, they did race at Melrose, but that doesn't count because Murphy was still trying to get back into his form. I mean, Murphy indoor Melrose was very different from Murphy now, and Brazier was different. You know, so man, come on, Murphy and Brazier, let's just do a dual meet. Both the guys race each other on Christmas Day. We'll go up against the LeBron Lakers showdown, and we'll just do a Murphy Brazier showdown. People are going to love it.
I want you to bring this up every time we do this segment throughout the summer. Like, which matchup are you not going to get to see in the Diamond League? Well, let me tell you about Brazier and Murphy. They're cursed. That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah,
that is insane.
6 in a row.
It's not like one guy was like hurt for 2 years or something.
It's
like
all
that.
because of not qualifying to the final,
Yeah.
or Murphy doing the 1500.
That is strange.
Brazier DNSing. So,
man.
and I could throw in Emmanuel Correa in that list too. We never really got to see, but he's Kenyan. So, NCAA. Imagine an NCAA final with Emmanuel Correa, Donovan Brazier, and Clayton Murphy. That could have happened.
Yeah, yeah. That'd have been incredible. I mean, imagine USA's if Barron was still on his form and he had never gotten hurt, and then Brazier was fine too. I mean, that would have been crazy with Isaiah Harris, Murphy in the mix. I mean, that would have been
And Drew Windle.
It was, yeah, exactly. I didn't mention him, but that would have been a final where 6 guys could have won out of the 8. All right, let's get some social media highlights. We'll get your questions and comments at the very, very end, but we want to pull up some pro ones first, and we'll start with I think this is a Noah Lyles tweet. Is that right, Travis?
Yeah, this is from Noah Lyles. Speaking of the Incredibles, pretty amazing post by him going into the 100-meter finals there, and well, he did his thing.
My girl said I better be back ASAP, so let's make this 100 quick. Yeah.
Whatever motivates you, you know what I mean? We saw a lot of excitement after that race. Maybe it's tied to where this tweet is coming from, but.
Have you seen The Incredibles too?
I've not seen Incredibles 2.
Anybody?
I've seen 1.
JoJo, you seen it?
No.
Oh man, we can't really comment on this
No.
thing further than
We don't know what happens.
Sweet tweet, Noah. Very good tweet. Next one, Nikki Hiltz. This one comes from a couple weeks ago, but we are all qualified to talk about this Nikki Hiltz one. JoJo, can you break this one down?
Yeah, so Torchy's Tacos, if you haven't heard of it, is one of the greatest chain restaurant institutions in America. Every kind of taco you could ever want, and this is Nikki pretending to be sponsored by them. At the end of the post, she said JK, and now she's actually sponsored by Adidas. But I think it would be great if Torchy started sponsoring athletes.
Yeah, absolutely.
queso.
Although Allie Ostrander would not be interested, because I remember she told us after
That's right, we saw her parents
NCAA
there.
indoors, she had to sit with her parents and tried not to puke.
That's rough. That's rough, like race day eating. When mom and dad want to take you to Torchy's
And
and you
just
have
the
like
smell
5K.
of it, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see where Torchy's fits into Michael Norman's diet, and if that passes the test, because he won't eat
Michael
ice
Norman's
cream,
diet is
he won't
intense.
eat pizza.
He's strict,
or
yeah.
taco. You can get like healthy tacos, but where does the taco fit? And Mike, hit us up. We want to know.
Yeah,
The
I have
people
a
want to
feeling
know.
Let us
he
know.
wouldn't
Does
be,
he- does
he's
he-
not
when
getting
was-
the trailer park.
Yeah, he
trashy
said it's
version.
been over a year since he's eaten ice cream. Michael Norman, when was the last time you ate a taco?
That's crazy. At USC in LA, it's hard to go. I don't think that's considered unhealthy food in LA.
Yeah.
It's too present to do it.
That's what we should do the next time we interview Mike Norman.
Bring an ice
Just
cream cone?
bring a list of food. And when was the last time you ate this?
4361, and he still didn't let himself
Eat
have
ice
ice cream.
cream.
All right, Gordon, you're going to comment on this last one. It's Matt Senchowitz on Instagram.
Hello,
After that
911. I'd like to report a murder.
By the way, look at those the first 2 likes there. Pretty solid likes there.
Yeah.
I mean, he got 15,000 other ones, but the top 2 is pretty good too. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
mean, Centro's always good at planning his post-race celebrations. He's won, 5 now? NCAA titles? NCAA titles. US titles. He's done some good. He did the LeBron James celebration at one time.
The hands down thing.
This is pretty good. I feel like it's a very small celebration. I mean, you're on your phone.
So do you think he had the caption planned out when he did this?
Oh
Because
yeah.
when he crossed the line, I was
He's
like,
saying something.
what is he doing?
He literally entered the race for the purposes of creating an Instagram. He didn't enter the race to win a national title. He wanted to make an Instagram photo.
My favorite Instagram about the men's 1500 is still last year, though, when Robbie Andrews posted some picture about taking what's yours, and then Centro posted a picture of himself, looking sad at the airport, and it said, "When you open Instagram and see Robbie writing 'Take what's yours.'"
Yeah.
That's still my favorite.
And that was great. Also, photo credits to this guy for
Oh.
taking that dope pic.
Oh.
Essentially, there's also a clip on our social media of him in the mix zone talking about that. It was actually directed at someone.
Yeah.
He wouldn't say who it was, but there must have been some shade thrown Centro's way before the meet because he specifically directed that comment, had that caption ready.
I didn't realize that.
So there's some inside
Poll,
behind the scenes
who do we
going
think
there.
it is?
Well,
Yeah.
I interpret it different. I interpret it as like he's doing it to his boys. Like it was like an inside joke. So when he said it was at someone, I
Go
think
rewatch the
literally-
clip. You can check on the FloTrack Instagram.
Maybe
from-
there was inter-squad beef between, Jenkins, Angles, and Centro about like, hey, we're all in this. I'm sure that maybe Jenkins was talking
Jenkins
smack.
seems like one of the easier people to get along with. I was very surprised. It was funny. Lewis Johnson told him before he did that because he asked him. He's like, "Yeah, don't say that in the air." He's like, "All right, I'm just gonna put it on Instagram then." So he didn't say it on the live broadcast. He saved it for Instagram. But he started it like he crossed the line within like 2 strides. He was like, and he was yelling something into the phone. It wasn't just like
Right. And there are a lot of people on that clip, and his post, if you saw it on there, had 356 comments who were calling it disrespectful and blah, blah, blah. Those people need to stop. Like, this is awesome. Like, he's making a joke. Like, he's having fun with it. Like, and it's great to have an athlete that, and we talk with, like, even Malene, that's just showing more personality, not, I trusted the process, I'm calling coach, or something.
My main problem
like,
is, do kids, this isn't what a phone looks like.
How would you have done it?
Well,
Should have been like that.
No.
Because it's a
They don't
the
talk
phones
on
are
the phones.
flat.
He should have
They're not-
texted. He should have texted.
Yeah, he should have texted.
Or
He should have
Snapchat.
been- yeah.
Snapped it,
Can
yeah.
you snap 911?
Because I mean, you don't.
IG stories,
phones
man.
don't look like this anymore.
All right, let's close it out here with some viewer questions and comments from Twitter and Facebook. Travis, how many do we get?
So we've had a bunch coming in across everywhere. If you will still have some last-second questions and comments, throw those in. We had a few come in, actually, when we started talking about Bowerman and Carissa. Some people still asking if Carissa has signed, but we're still waiting there.
We don't know.
Yeah, still nothing heard. We actually had some really interesting comments come through around the Noah Lyles 100-200 double from Harold Tate over on Facebook. He says enough guys in 100. He should do the 200 and the 4x1 running for the U.S. and to use the Jamaican model as a reference, where they only really have had like 3 serious competitors in the 100 with Bolt, Blake, and Powell, but they still have those other guys who are more relay specialists. And the U.S. and Noah Lyles should use that as a model instead of having as many guys as we have and running there. And Noah should do the 2 and the 4x1.
Screw that.
So-
Noah
But
should
if
not
he's
be doing
the
the 4x1.
best, He
No,
should
he
be
should.
in the 100.
He should not be doing the 4x1. He should be doing the 4x4.
No.
Ooh,
Well,
there we go.
he should be doing both. He should be like Allison Felix, and he should be called into any relay duty. Can you imagine how fast Lyles would be with a flying start? He was 988 at the blocks. A 4x1 team, if they're healthy next year, with the guys Gordon mentioned, like
I'll
Who
lay
would
it
you
on.
pick?
Cole-
Who would
well-
you pick? Which 4?
Coleman, I mean, assuming health, Coleman, Lyles, Baker, and then it doesn't matter, it's over, whoever can hold the baton. And Jamaica right now is down. So you're looking at a whole Olympic cycle, maybe even a 2024 of American domination in the 4x1 if those guys can stay healthy. Because can you name one sprinter like solidly that's better than the ones that from Jamaica that Gordon mentioned from the U.S. right now?
No.
You can't.
Andre Ewers, maybe?
Maybe.
He's young, though.
Yeah, but you can't put anybody in front of Lyles, Coleman, Baker, Gatlin, Burrell. That's a tough. I mean,
Dude,
that's a
if
tough group.
Trayvon Bromell gets healthy, USA will be insane.
Sure, I think that means. I mean, Lyles with the flying start is crazy. So I think that's a good point that he made. But I like to see him run both.
Yeah, and
everything.
other
Run
questions.
a 4x4.
Don't stop running, Noah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just around the general, the feel for the fans at the meet. Some people commenting that just kind of watching on TV and some of the pictures, it looked like it was down from previous years. But it also may tie into what Gordon was mentioning at the
Yeah,
beginning.
I mean, it was definitely half full stadium for the finals days. We did some math. We think the stadium holds, what, 15,000 to 16,000?
Yeah, we did do some math.
So
We did some counting.
We did some counting. We counted every single
Manually.
seat. So I think there's probably around 6,000 to 7,000 on the final days, which is pretty good. But I mean, it's our sport. I mean, people aren't flying to Des Moines. I mean, you got to think about when in Eugene, how many people fly to Eugene versus come to Eugene track meets who are already in Eugene
Right.
versus Des Moines.
And the backstretch visuals aren't great.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there were a lot of people there on Saturday and Sunday in the home stretch, but you never really see that on TV because the camera doesn't pick it up.
Right.
So I think that's another thing too, and that's been the case in Sacramento especially too. It's like no one's on the backstretch, a bunch of people crammed in the home stretch, which is their right. I mean, you paid the ticket.
Well, we should block off the home stretch, make everyone sit on the backstretch so the TV.
To fill in, it's completely packed.
I mean, think about it. I mean, baseball stadiums kind of, or just make those really cheap. Make it free to sit on the backstretch.
Yeah.
Make it pay to sit on the home stretch. That will fill up the backstretch.
Sneak in.
That's like the Daegu World Championship model. Let's fill the seats up with kids. Just get the buses in,
Yeah.
pack them in, pack them in.
Yeah, and then maybe lastly here from social media, I think these questions are probably coming in because there were a lot of coaching changes at the NCAA level, but then USA's came, so obviously the focus kind of went there. But just questions coming in here for the show, just thoughts on potential new changes we might see, who's going to go take the Oregon job or other vacancies here. Thoughts from the crew here on what other impacts we might have coming in the next couple weeks.
JoJo, you're
Yeah,
on
well,
this one.
I mean, just being in Texas, we're obviously thinking about the Longhorns job. Floreal is interviewing new distance coaches. He wants somebody who has coached well in the heat and humidity before, so then you kind of can narrow it down to, okay, who are some Southern-based coaches who have done well? I mean, someone like Ryan Van Hoy comes up pretty fast. He's done a really great job at Ole Miss. That's one thing to think about. Oregon is that's an interesting job, right? Because again, it's it's maybe one of the dream jobs of distance coaching, but you're also an assistant coach to Robert Johnson. So that kind of eliminates a lot of people off the blocks, right? Like someone like Mike Smith, might be a great candidate, but is he really going to leave his director job at NAU after 2 national championships to be an assistant coach? I don't think so. So I think, and plus the Oregon job is it's going to be 2 coaches for the men's and women's team, not 1. Texas should be 1, I believe, if it stays on par with what it's been the past couple of years. Do you guys have any ideas who might be going for the Oregon job?
I mean, I think you just got to look at the cross country powerhouses or teams that have done well in cross country in the past 2 to 3 years, who aren't big programs. So you kind of look at maybe like Furman, like the Garys. They've been doing well. They've created something. They created something from nothing, and they created Furman, put them on the map. Ali Puchalski's run well. So Rita and Gary.
Yeah, although they also get to coach the whole pro group there, so it's hard to see them leaving that.
But maybe bring pro group over to Eugene. I mean, I'm sure there's room on the tracks around there.
But the money.
They're down a track.
They're down a track. They are.
Yeah, you're down a track and down a coach if you're an Oregon recruit.
But you look at the small market schools who have done well in the distance. So I mean, even like someone like Joe Franklin will be someone you think about, but at the same time, Joe Franklin's head coach.
Sure.
Right.
It's a lot. All these good people are head coaches. Sure. So it's like, do you want to be? Is it a downgrade to become an assistant at Oregon? I mean, you're going to get paid. You're going to get paid more.
Yeah.
You have less power, but you also have more resource. It's like a weird balance.
Yeah.
Like,
Really depends on the person.
Yeah, it depends on the person. Yeah.
All right.
And also think about a lot of this. Also, like we could say, we could throw out names like Joe Franklin or Mike Smith. But you also have to think about they're not just they don't just want to they also have families and they have livings and houses. And sometimes hey, maybe I have a kid who doesn't want to go to Eugene and move to Eugene with me. So that's also a factor. It's not just an individual decision. It's also sometimes a group decision for a lot of these coaches.
Cool.
Yeah, and obviously this is going to impact recruits as well. There's already talk out there that some Oregon commits are not as happy as they might be with the coaches leaving, Hayward and those kind of things. So I think not just from a coaching standpoint, but we also might see a lot of other changes coming down from the athletes as well.
Think back to this. You sign up to go to Oregon, and before you get there, they get rid of the track and your coach. You're like,
there's no 2 bigger draws to Oregon
than the track and
those
your
2 things. That's literally the selling point. Oh, you have Andy Powell, who's coached a million national champions. And hey, there's Hayward Field, the most coveted venue in all of track.
Where's it going to get rid of him?
And now you're working out at South Eugene High School, and your coach is TBD.
I know that's because when I actually went to school, when I went on a recruiting visit.
When I actually went to school.
When I went on a recruiting visit,
you,
there was a track, and my freshman year when they came in, the track was torn down, and so we had to train at a local high school for it actually took 2.5 years before we got our own track again. So I know what it's like to you come in thinking you have something, and then all of a sudden you're
gone.
Having to run 3 miles every day to get to the track.
In the hallways.
It was awful.
In a gym.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. on Facebook and Twitter. Appreciate all the questions and comments. Stay tuned to FloTrack, all the written content, the video as well, but we'll be doing this show weekly throughout the summer. Thanks for hanging out in the new studio with us. This was fun, guys.
Sixers, they're going to sign LeBron.